Everybody, welcome back to another video. This one's gonna be a little bit different. These tier maker videos are going around the entire internet. It's on Twitter, it's everywhere that I've noticed. So I thought I'd do one here. I haven't seen I think I watched one of these, or saw one of these. I love the Marvel movies, all the MCU movies and everything like that. So I thought I'd do a tier list on every single Marvel movie there is. There's 22 of them, and I've seen all of them plenty of times, multiple times, and I thought I'd do this one here. There's some where I feel like are gonna get some hate, and there's some that are gonna be obvious. So yeah, let's jump right into it. First one we have is Iron Man. Iron Man kicked off the MCU. It was like one of the most well-received superhero movies at the time, of all time. And Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in this was awesome. I'm gonna put it in A. It has some kind of Obadiah, the villain, wasn't I guess the greatest villain, and I didn't like Terrence Howard as Rhodey, but yeah, I'll put it as A. It had some things, but overall it was amazing. Next one we got here is The Incredible Hulk. It was like the third Incredible Hulk movie. It's probably the best Hulk movie we've gotten, but it still wasn't the greatest, I'll be honest with you. It's probably bottom 3 movies in the MCU. So for the Hulk, I'm actually F- because it is pretty bad. CGI was bad, the plot was, I don't understand it. Abomination. The whole movie was an abomination. Like the villain is just awful. I didn't like Edward Norton as Bruce Banner either. I don't know, something didn't seem right about it. Alright, so the next one we have here is Iron Man 2. This movie isn't as bad as people makes it to be. The villain, again, is awful. He's boring, there's nothing to him. He just wants revenge. The fight scenes are awesome. Again, Robert Downey Jr. is awesome. This introduces Black Widow. I thought it was okay, it wasn't great. That's going in D for now. It wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Alright, the next one we have is Thor. There is way too many Dutch angles in this movie. I thought Chris Hemsworth was okay as him. It was okay. It was probably one of the best looking Marvel movies to the point, with Asgard and how everything looked. I'm gonna put this one in the D category as well. It wasn't very good, and it wasn't that bad either. So the next one is Captain America, the First Avenger. It's first Captain America, first one we see him in and everything there. Take place back in the day during World War II. And Captain America in this, Chris Evans played him pretty well, honestly. He's always do the right thing kind of a guy. And I thought he did honestly pretty good. The plot was basic, stop the villain from doing this, trying to end the world and stuff like that, or enslaving the world, stopping Hydra and everything like that. I actually liked the movie. It grew on me more and more as I watched it. So I'm going to actually put this in the C category for now. The Avengers. That's the next movie here, and this thing was phenomenal. Just straight up, it's going to S, just straight up the bat. This is the first time ever that we've had a movie like this ever made. It was phenomenal. I'm going to drop it actually to A, because I have some problems with it, with the Chitauri at the end. And I understand with the World Council wanting to bomb New York, but I still don't understand that, because I would be on S.H.I.E.L.D., but I know Hydra was in there, and that comes later on in the MCU, but at the time, you don't know that. So there's a couple plot holes and everything like that in this, but overall, this was, 5 movies led up to this, and the pay was satisfying. Seeing them in that circle that first time in New York, when it pans around them all, just made me smile so much. So Iron Man 3 is actually one of the most underrated movies in the MCU. I'm putting it in the B category. It shows you that Tony Stark doesn't need the Iron Man suit to be Iron Man. I know a lot of people, a lot of the, comic fanboys and everything that likes to stay true to the comics, didn't like the Mandarin twist with Aldrich Killian being the Mandarin instead of Trevor Slattery. But you really didn't see it coming. The movie trailers for this movie were so menacing, where you felt like he was going to be the villain and it was going to be a lead up to him, but that was a plot twist, that it was a subversion that no one expected, and I just thought it was awesome. Thor: The Dark World, it was awful. Thor, I don't know. I'm so glad that after this movie that honestly the rest of the movies weren't even that bad, besides maybe a couple now that I look at them. But this movie was pretty bad. Is it worse than the Hulk? It's close. Alright, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I feel like people overrate this movie just a tad. I didn't think it was amazing, but the directing by the Russo brothers, which they started four movies that they've made, have been pretty much the most well-received movies, at least on Rotten Tomatoes, by that. But I thought it was good. It was directed very well. I don't understand why they set up romance between Captain America and Black Widow. That's one thing I never understood. It was a good movie all around. So our first movie that takes pretty much no place on Earth besides a little bit in the beginning, Guardians of the Galaxy. This was one of the more fun movies I think I remember seeing in the theaters. It was such a surprise. I think James Gunn did a wonderful job directing and everything like that. Again, Ronan wasn't the greatest villain, but there's only so much you can do in comic book movies where it seems to be, or where you can make it so there's a twist and the villains are different. It almost all seems to be the same movie, just with a little bit different characters and a little bit of the plot different, but I thought it was one of the more funnier movies and just the more heartfelt movies and everything like that too, so that's definitely going in the B category. Avengers: Age of Ultron. It wasn't as bad as people make it to be. Did it really follow up to the first Avengers movie? No, definitely not. And I don't think it's awful. I'm gonna put it in D because it definitely got a little boring in a couple parts. If there was a spot here between D and C, that's where Age of Ultron would be. It's not as bad as Thor and Iron Man 2, but I think Captain America was a little better. People say that Ant-Man can't carry his own movie, but in Ant-Man, he's going in the C category here because I think he proved in this movie he can. It's when he's fighting Yellow Jacket on the train set, and they're tiny, so it looks like an actual train's coming towards them. In all reality, it's just a little toy train, and you just don't see those in other movies. And Ant-Man made that possible like that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I may be the only person who thinks it's better than the first one. It is probably the most visually appealing movie in the MCU. The colors, the planets, just everything in this movie just was put together awesome. And it's one of the more emotional movies too, with how we figure out how his mom dies and everything like that. And with Yondu dying, his actual, not blood father, but role model father. And it's one of the more emotional movies in that aspect. And honestly, I love this movie. It's one of my favorites, and I think it always will be. Doctor Strange, again with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's one of the more visually appealing movies in the MCU. There were some plot holes, I guess you could say, but the end I thought was one of the better endings in the entire MCU, with it not being just a full-on battle and Doctor Strange outsmarting his opponent instead of just brute force and everything like that. I say probably B category. I don't think it's as good as these three here, but I think it's better than these two. Avengers 2.5. I mean, Captain America Civil War. Probably one of the better, probably the best Captain America movie, I think. With everyone in there, it definitely felt like an Avengers movie, and it was just rebranded as a Captain America movie. But I think it goes in A, rightfully, because it just capitalized on so many things with each character. It could have been an overstuffed, crowded movie that wasn't handled very correctly, but it was handled correctly. Spider-Man Homecoming was probably the best adaptation of Spider-Man, at least live action form, that we've gotten so far. Everyone's gonna fanboy and fangirl over Tobey Maguire and some people like Andrew Garfield, but I think Tom Holland was probably the best Spider-Man. So yeah, you can say he's babied by Tony and there's too much Iron Man in this and stuff like that, but honestly, this was the best Spider-Man movie I think we've definitely got. Oh, Black Panther. Oh, Black Panther. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but Black Panther is going in D category. It has a good message, it has a good meaning in the movie, but under that, so going back and editing this, I kind of hated on Black Panther more than I thought. Honestly, I think I'd move it up to C tier, just kind of looking at it. There's definitely way too many plot holes and the CGI was bad, but Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, was probably one of the best superhero movie villains ever, honestly, between Loki, Thanos, Heath Ledger's Joker, and more. He's up there, honestly. It's just the CGI was bad. The plot holes were bad. There was too many of them. I don't want to say it was boring, but at some points it didn't sit well with me. Yeah, I'd probably put it in C. I know it said D, but I'd probably put it in C, kind of looking back at it now. So Thor Ragnarok is a movie that people say is overrated. I came into this movie thinking that it was going to be kind of iffy. I thought putting the Hulk in there would probably feel like it'd make it just not a Thor movie. But it was a Thor movie, and it was the Thor movie that we wanted, that we deserved. I came into this thinking it was going to be as bad as maybe the first Thor. I didn't think it was going to be as bad as the second. But I didn't go into this expecting a whole lot. And I came out surprised. I'm going to put it in S tier. It's probably top 3 for me, honestly. The comedy was funny. The CGI was phenomenal with Surtur. Back in editing this, I don't know how I missed to talk about Korg. Korg was the most amazing, secondary actor in any movie ever. Everyone quotes Korg. Everyone knows where Korg's from if they've watched any MCU movies. He's just amazing. I don't know how I forgot about him, but Korg is one of my favorite things about the movie. Alright, Avengers Infinity War. Let's go on S tier as well. This is a movie where, again, kind of like Captain America Civil War, where it could feel crowded, stuffed, with too many people. Just not a very good plot. But when you look at this movie, it's Thanos' film. It's Thanos' film. It's his film. He's the protagonist in Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Spider-Man. Everyone else is the antagonist. He has the most screen time. It's his movie. And it's him doing what he believes is right. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is a tough one. Because it kind of was boring a little bit, honestly. There wasn't a whole lot of action, which I'm not the one who strives for action. I think it's a little better than Ant-Man. I'm going to put it in B. Because it's kind of those middle-of-the-pack movies that's not as good as the top 2 tiers, but definitely not as bad as the bottom 3. Captain Marvel. I'm going to put it in C. I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's as bad as what people say it is. But the first act of the movie was awful, honestly. It started picking up when she got on Earth, and it actually got decent. And I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. I honestly thought it was going to be F to D tier, in my opinion. I thought it was going to be as bad as one of these. But Brie Larson, again, she did an okay job. And even if you don't like her, well, you're gonna have to deal with her for 7 movies, because I think she just signed a 7-movie deal extension or contract extension for Marvel. So Avengers Infinity War Part 2. Avengers Endgame was the culmination of every single movie before. 11 years of Marvel interconnected movies. It could have been so bad. It could have been so bloated with people. But it was the opposite. It was the biggest send-off for characters like Captain America, Tony, Iron Man, Black Widow. This movie is 100% going in F-. I'm kidding. It's going in S tier for obvious reasons. The only problems I have with this movie is Black Widow's death. That's the only problem I have. It seemed forced, it seemed rushed. The only problem I have is with Black Widow's death. The CGI was good. The final battle, the final, probably hour, half an hour, 45 minutes in that area, was probably the greatest thing you would see in a theater ever. There was a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on, but if you paid attention and you saw some of those things, it was crazy. It was insane, everything that was going on. And this movie is honestly my favorite movie. It's my favorite movie in the MCU, hands down. I love Thor, I love the Avengers, I love Infinity War, I love Iron Man, Guardians 2, Civil War. I love all of these movies. And just because I love them doesn't mean they're bad, doesn't mean they're good. I mean, you definitely have bad movies like the Hulk and Thor, but Endgame could have been so bad, but it wasn't. It was just so good. So yeah, that's my list, or I guess my tier for all 22 MCU movies. Yeah, if you want to see more tier maker videos, just let me know. Leave a like so I know you want to see more. And if yours looks a little different than mine, let me know what movies you'd change, what you would move higher, move lower, something like that. Again, this is my opinion. You don't need to tear me a new one in the comments if people see this and go, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 isn't as good as the first one. I don't know what you're talking about. Captain Marvel should be negative F. Thor is overrated. Hey, it's my opinion. It's what I thought of the movies. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, all that crap. I'll see you in the next video.